everybody, thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be doing just like a quick exposure video, I guess is the best way to think about this, to a series that I've talked about before. Talked about it in the context of the Bastien Vives artist overview video. This series, Last Man, had previously been released by Ablaze. Now it's being released through Image with Robert Kirkman's Skybound. The Ablaze edition, which I'm in love with because I was in love with Bastien Vives and just loved the artwork and the story with it, wasn't the best production. This one has a little bit better production on it, and also has some color pages. And in those original black and white ones from Ablaze, I remember the opening few color pages of every segment. The grays looked worse than the grays in the rest of the sections, and now I'm realizing that probably what was going on, because they've talked about this book as being the European response to manga. It's like a Bandasen manga. They're probably doing that, like the few intro colored pages and then moving to black and white. Kids are very familiar with that format and manga. Personally, after seeing this work in color, I'm really sad it hasn't been colored all the way through, because the color's really, really phenomenal and adds something to it. It's already still a phenomenal book in black and white, and if you've seen me review anything by Vives before, I just absolutely adore his artwork, and especially how much he leaves out. Like, I go on and about how he leaves out eyes and noses and stuff. This page is perfect for that. Missing eyes and noses, and it still works. Like, you read the characters and their expressions perfectly. So his like simplistic calligraphic cartooning is just amazing to me. Now he's sharing the art duties on this with Michael Sanlaville, and the writing duties are shared by Vives, Sanlaville, and a third person named Balak. These are all famous creators. One, I believe, works in video games. Vives is a comic artist, and I think the other one's in animation. I don't know them all. And I don't know how the collaboration goes. I don't know who does what and who inks. Vives has done a couple other collaborations. He's worked with Rupert and Malott on a book, on a couple books on the Olympia series. And there are people who also collaborate a lot. But anything that Vives works on feels like his work to me. So it's really hard to decipher who was doing what on this, but it's a gorgeous book. Now the story is also really engaging and really fun. I was so sad that I got really hooked on this series, and then Ablaze wasn't going to finish it. I don't know if they didn't sell well enough or what. So now that it's through Image and with Robert Kirkman behind it, I'm hopeful that we're going to see, and these are like double up collections, so there's 2 in 1. So I'm very hopeful that we're actually going to get all 12 volumes of the Last Man series in English for the first time, which I'm so excited about, and super happy that Kirkman got the license for that and is using his company to promote it. It's a real good case study in how one product can succeed or fail just based on the publisher and what the publisher is willing to do with it and the resources the publisher have. Like with Kirkman and Skybound, you have like a marketing machine in place that this should be successful, even though it's already been printed and a bunch of people have already read it because it came out from another company not that long ago. I suspect that this should now blow up in the young adults market, and that's really, I'm surprised it didn't in the first place. Anyways, the story here, just to give a quick view of the story, is this kid here, Adrian Velba, who's being trained in the martial arts in this like fantasy land, and there's a big like WWF kind of superpowered wrestling competition that's a big part of the history of the town and their culture. And so Adrian's training for that. He's got a single mother, but he's a very small kid and not very good at it. He has like a wind control powers or something like that. So he's very depressed that he's not going to become part of this competition. You also have to have a teammate. Then he can't find a teammate, and then this guy, Adrian Velba and Richard Ardana, yeah, those are the characters' names. Richard Ardana, he comes in from out of town, and you get the sense that he's not just from out of town, but he's from really far away, and he's coming in, and he's obviously more of just like a MMA fighter, boxer type of guy, and he's a traveling fighter, I guess, making his money fighting, and he wants to enter the competition, but he needs a partner. So he finds this kid and teams up with him. And that's pretty much what this first volume, which encompasses the first 2 volumes of the Last Man series, is them teaming up, and then it builds up to, they're about to go into their big first fight, and then that's the end of volume 1, and then volume 2 is like, okay, we're ready for our big fight now. Here you can see some of the colored pages from volume 2, and then volume 2 is pretty much like a lot of things are going on, but it's a culmination of that tournament, basically. And then at the end of volume 2, not to give any spoilers or anything, but the world opens up quite a bit further. I'll just say that much. Like, the world expands, and these characters now go on like a much bigger adventure. Same kind of powers and WWF wrestling with powers type of vibes, but into a much bigger world that Adrian and his mother get taken to, being involved with Richard Aldana. And you start to get some of pictures of the other characters that are important throughout the series. Here in the back, just some little extra sketchbook stuff, which is really cool. And then here, they're advertising collected in English for the first time, the complete series, and they have the schedule here. So we're going to get 3 more books in 2023, and then the final 2 in 2024. So I couldn't be more excited about that. I hope they keep the schedule. I've read up through this, so I'll be getting them, but I'm really looking forward to seeing where the series goes from where I left off in volume 6. I apologize that while I'm flipping through here, I can't do a comparison to the original translation that I had. But as soon as I saw that this was being printed, I took those other ones to work so I could have them on my shelves in my classroom and the kids can look at them, because these are very, very kid appropriate, like YA stuff. There is a little bit of, like, you see Richard Aldana's sexy butt, and Bastien Vives definitely knows how to sexy up even a single mother. So there's a little bit of like some sauciness here and there, but nothing explicit that you would want to keep. Yeah, here you get, you see his butt. He's in the shower. But that's about as bad as it gets. So this is a really kid appropriate book in my mind. Maybe we got a little bit of a ball sack there. But anyways, this is about as saucy as I've seen it get. And I think this would be a really, really appropriate book for young teens and older, and completely enjoyable as an adult. And I just absolutely in love with Bastien Vives' art, and the other guys who have contributed to this, obviously, I don't know what they contributed, but they're a huge part of it as well. I'm just familiar with Vives. So anyways, great series. Please go out and grab it. We want to make sure this thing actually sees completion this time. I promise it's a great thing. Vives, you'll learn so much just from looking at his art. It's really phenomenal. And thank you to Skybound for bringing this over and translating it. So if you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel, the best ways that you can support us are through our Patreon. There's different tiers there that come with different voting rights, different things you can win. We'll start having some exclusive comic content on there soon that I'm working on. And then the most important thing is supporting the books that Sean has coming out through Living the Line Publishing. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of those now. Sala Niyalo, Path of the Shades by Clarence Doss is a really cool ongoing project that Living the Line will be producing. Clarence is a PhD student from Fiji who's studying the myths of Fiji for his doctoral thesis. And part of that study project is that he's producing these comics. They're kind of like Hellboy, where there's these little short stories that capture all of these different mythologies. But then he's using that to wrap the project into his doctoral thesis and then provide educational material where people can come to these comics. They don't have to read his PhD thesis. They can come to the comics and get a more consumable version of the mythology of Fiji. Centralia is an awesome, gorgeous comic by rising Dutch star Miel van de Piet. This is his first work. It's a really great sci-fi story. There's a world in the future where the sun has gotten so hot that people can't be on the ground, so they have to run around. There's a lot of conceits that go with that. What is the world that looks like? And I think you can see by the art that Sean's description of this book as like a Moebius for young adults, a YA Moebius, is a really great description of this really gorgeous and like wild, wacky, fun book. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.